Alright, guys, so let's talk about James Gunn's The Empire Strikes Back. I mean Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. So, I didn't really give this movie much of a review when it came out. That was before I kind of started to take this a little more seriously and actually try and give in depth reviews and my in depth thoughts on things. And so, I just kind of quickly brushed through it because we were busy doing something and I wanted to get it done. So I was just like, it's good, it's great, I love it, A plus, and that's about it. So this is gonna be more of kind of a full review, but also just some of my updated thoughts as well. So let's talk about it. Peter Quill and his fellow Guardians are hired by a powerful alien race, the Sovereign, to protect their precious batteries from invaders. When it is discovered that Rocket has stolen the items they were sent to guard, the Sovereign dispatch their armada to search for vengeance. As the Guardians try to escape, the mystery of Peter's parentage is revealed. So, if you didn't gather from the synopsis already, this movie really is Star-Lord's movie, and Chris Pratt gives probably the best performance I've seen from him, getting a lot of emotional moments and showing a lot of character growth from the first movie, and I really, really like that. Dave Bautista as Drax is great yet again, though his character has a little bit less of an emotional base in the film and is used instead more as kind of a joke machine and is just there to laugh at everything. And I felt like he could have been given a more well-defined character because in the first movie, he was a very serious character and his overly seriousness lent itself to a lot of humor, but he himself wasn't really cracking jokes. So I didn't really like the fact that in this movie they just turned him from this character who is kind of unintentionally funny into a character that is literally there just to churn out jokes and laugh a lot. He laughs a lot in this movie. And then you have Zoe Saldana's Gamora and Karen Gillan's Nebula, who get much more of an emotional story with them coming to terms with their pasts and their feud and growing more as characters as well. And I really liked where they took the relationship between the two of them in this movie, where in the first movie, they didn't really have a relationship. You could tell that Nebula kind of felt jealous of Gamora, but they never really dealt with it. This movie definitely deals with it, and I really like the way they dealt with it, and I like the way they leave the characters off at the end of this movie. And I can't wait to see where their relationship goes by the time Infinity War comes around, seeing as they are both going to be in Infinity War. And I hope their characters and their relationship together evolves even more from there. I think that would be really, really nice. And then you have Rocket's character arc, which is also really well done. I really like how he and Yondu paralleled each other, and Yondu's admission of his mistakes in life and other things helps Rocket grow as a character and become just a better being, and I really liked it. And speaking of Yondu, my god, did Michael Rooker shine in this movie. Yondu was a really fun supporting character in Guardians Volume 1. I thought he was one of the standouts in that movie. He didn't get a ton to do, but he had one of the coolest scenes in the movie where he kills all the Sakarans with his arrow. And then when they announced that in Volume 2 he would actually be joining up with the team, I was excited because I knew that there would be probably some difficulties involving that with just the way his character is and his relationship with Star-Lord. I could tell it was going to be an entertaining dynamic between the two, and it was kind of not at all what I expected, because I was just expecting, similar dynamic as the first movie, and then they're both going to kind of come to terms with each other as characters and be like, you know what, you're alright, but no. I had no idea he was going to steal the show this way. His character probably gets the most depth and growth in the movie, probably second only to Star-Lord. And his sacrifice in the movie and the way he kind of comes to terms with the mistakes that he has made in life and all these things, it really almost made me tear up at the end. And I watched the movie again the other night, and it actually did get me to tear up quite a bit. It's mainly Chris Pratt's speech at the end when he's talking about Yondu. Oh, it pulls right at your heartstrings. And on the subject of father figures, though, Kurt Russell as Ego is great. He is one of, if not the most charming and charismatic MCU villain to date, delivering a great performance with a very unexpected twist, which I felt was executed perfectly, and I loved the way that Ego was handled in the movie. And the only thing I didn't like about it is the fact that I wish we could get more. And I think if I leave the movie wanting more of a character, that's pretty good. So I said in my review that this was my favorite MCU movie. It isn't anymore. I will reveal what is soon, but it is still a very close second, and maybe even tied. You could probably take a wild guess at what my favorite MCU movie is. Anyways, this is probably the only Marvel movie where I've had a bit of a problem with the humor. And by a bit, I mean a pretty decently sized problem. There are just a few too many jokes in this movie, and it really takes away from some of the heavier moments in the movie, and I wish they had cut down on it. It's okay, Marvel, for one of your movies to be a little bit more serious. You don't have to be funny all the time. But on the other end of that, there are some jokes that are so well done and well timed that I really love. I just wish that in certain parts they had cut down on the humor, just because there really are too many jokes. The one that kind of bothers me the most is in the scene where Peter finds out that Ego put the tumor in his mom's head that killed her at the beginning of the first Guardians of the Galaxy. He actually, it's a really powerful scene, and his reaction is very unexpected and very just surprising. And then Ego transforms into David Hasselhoff for a second, and it's funny in isolation, but in the whole scene, it just feels like an unnecessary joke. And that's the one that kind of gets me, because it really does kind of undercut a very powerful and emotional moment in the movie. Another problem I kind of have is that a lot of the characters are kind of sidelined in the movie. Again, this is Peter Quill's movie, so his story is really story A, and then you have Yondu and Rocket are kind of story B, and then you have Drax and Gamora's whole thing with Mantis and Nebula, that's really story C, and those two characters, Drax and Gamora specifically, feel very sidelined and underutilized compared to Peter Quill, Yondu, and Rocket, who all get fairly well-rounded arcs in the movie. So that is kind of a problem I have. But seeing the original Guardians team from the comics was awesome. Some of the casting was interesting, though. Never would have thought of Sylvester Stallone as Starhawk. That was a pretty interesting casting choice that ended up working out really well. I didn't think it would. And then you have Michael Rosenbaum, who I didn't even know was in the movie. One of my personal favorite actors of all time. One of the funniest dudes I've ever seen in like anything. If you haven't listened to his podcast, Inside of You, with Michael Rosenbaum, pretty great. Michael Rosenbaum as Martinex Tanaga, pretty weird. Miley Cyrus as Mainframe, so weird. I kind of dug it, though. I kind of dug all the casting choices. You also have Ving Rhames, Michelle Yeoh. Like, just really weird, but great. I love it, and I cannot wait to see where they take these characters in the future, because they look like just another really fun ragtag group of characters, like the Guardians we have right now. My thoughts on the movie as a whole haven't changed too much. I have a few more issues with it than I did before, mainly the handling of Drax's character and the humor. But overall, I think this movie is still great, and definitely an expansion and improvement to Volume 1. I think this movie is a prime example of the MCU at its absolute best, and I think, while I believe I gave it an A+ when it came out, the problems I have with it have detracted from that, but I'm still gonna give it an A. Guys, this is a great movie. Go watch it if you haven't already. I mean, I personally think it is better than the first one in certain aspects. And even though I didn't give it the same, I think I gave the first one an A+, and now I'm giving this one an A. I still think this is the better movie. I just had a few more issues with this one than the first one. But, yeah. So, thank you guys for watching this video. Let me know in the comments what you think of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 if you've seen it, and if your thoughts have changed on it at all since it came out. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.